In a generation full of technology, it seems many old-fashioned skills have fallen by the wayside. Sewing is now a trade considered nearly obsolete, an artistry lost in an era of outsourcing and computers. But there's one Terre Haute company that can't use automation. They rely on handmade. Business is booming, but there simply aren't enough fingers to keep up, stitch by stitch. Walking into this manufacturing plant may seem like a step back in time.
Handmade is a dying art.
At Glasscall in Terre Haute, dozens of workers hand-stitch custom heating mantles to be shipped worldwide. Handmade, literally. An old skill that's still in great need here. But there's one big problem for the company. Its workforce is aging. Debbie Clark's been sewing for Glasscall for 34 years. Dixie King, 32. Both learned how to sew in high school and from family. But as more and more schools around the country drop home ec classes, many companies that rely on the vintage skills are hurting for workers.
It's harder and harder to find people that know how to hand sew or know how to machine sew. It's kind of a dying thing.
Phyllis Bales supervises the second floor sewers at Glasscall. She says business is growing so fast, they can't find hired hands to keep up with demand.
We're trying any kind of avenue that we can to try to develop people's skills and to get them to stay.
We're trying to hire every day.
Dave Templeton is president at Glasscall. He says they set records the last few years for production. More and more pharmaceutical and industrial companies want these handmade mantles from Terre Haute. But as society shifts to automation, his company is left searching for workers.
It's just an area that isn't trained anymore in school.
A quarter of the workforce has been at this company for 20+ years, 10 workers for longer than 3 decades. And as these hand sewers reach retirement, it's getting harder and harder to replace them.
To teach someone to hand sew a product, it doesn't happen real quickly. It can be a couple of years before they're really proficient at some of the more complex items that we make.
Phyllis Bales has been doing her part here for the last 34 years. She says they'll continue to change recruiting and training at the plant, trying to revive a dying skill set to keep up with this company's bottom line. You'll find Glasscall at 7th and Holman in Terre Haute, celebrating nearly 80 years of business.